Welcome to the live stream. I'm popping down here. I just came down off of the live stream on TikTok. Um, they're banning me on TikTok lately, so I'll be doing a lot more things on the YouTube platform. Uh, I appreciate everybody's support from the TikTok platform. We're at like 140,000 subscribers right now, and I appreciate y'all. But they're not letting me talk on TikTok. So it's time for us to start moving the platform a little bit more because uh, it starts getting wild over there. Plus, I need some new blood. See, I can't even say blood over there. That's the whole thing. I can't even say blood on TikTok. They'll ban me. That's what I'm saying. So it's getting weird. But yeah, and plus people can't stand the fact that I have dropped the whole history of the planet, period, unequivocally. Before I get started on this live stream, I want to pay divine honors to the universe, divine honors to the sun, divine honors to our ancestors, divine honors to our beautiful planet and our ancestral lands, which are the Western Hemisphere, period. All mankind comes from the Americas. We do not come from Africa. That's a fallacy. Today I won't be dropping no receipts, but I want you to look up everything I say. I want you to go do your research on the things that I say this evening. I'm going to be on here for a little bit, but I'm going to give y'all some knowledge. I'm going to give y'all some extra knowledge, right? I'm going to break down the root races from the beginning of time since we got here, right? The first two root races we won't really speak about because um they're just etheric bodies. They're not they're only astral bodies basically. They're not physical bodies yet. Hey, what's going on? Chris Moore, what up, y'all? Chris Moore, Erica Dickerson, what's up? Y'all seen some of y'all come from TikTok and seen that they keep banning me over there, man. I can't even get a sentence loose without them banning me. So look, I'm gonna break down the history of the planet today here on this platform for you. And then I'm gonna go on my StreamYard. I'm gonna start doing my StreamYard on here maybe tomorrow evening. Probably tomorrow evening I'll probably come on StreamYard and drop some receipts for y'all that I haven't dropped on this platform yet. Sec Matt, what up? Yeah, they banned me over there. They constantly ban me over there. They got a lot of white supremacists and they pander to them. They pander to the white supremacists on that platform. It's crazy, man. But today we're going to deal with the history of the planet. If y'all want to go let other people know from the from TikTok, let them know that I'm over here. I'm gonna break down right now. I'm going all the way through because I kind of like this platform because I can't really take no guests right now and not like that, so they can't kind of interrupt the things that in the uploads that I get as I'm speaking. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's okay. I ain't worried about that. It's just telling me I gotta be doing some other things, man. It can't just be on this freaking TikTok thing because they constantly now that I'm at a certain level, I'm at 140,000 people. They trying to really bear down, and plus I never involve myself because they always want me to sell stuff for them, and I don't do it. So they don't like that. They want you to participate in their programs and make them money, and if you're not, they don't like it. But if I don't like that for my people, I'm not going to endorse anything that I don't use myself. The only thing that I endorsed on TikTok on their product was uh, a copper cup. So yeah, but today let's bust down the whole John all the way through. All right. The first two root races, like I said, are astral bodies. These are our astral ancestors who came here, created the planet, started creating different things, made the planet habitable, and then created the Lemurian, created them their own bodies, basically, is what they did. So the Lemurian is the third root race. You see, the third root race. Um, they were women. They were just women. They weren't both sexes yet or none of that. They called them hermaphrodites, but then they're not hermaphrodites. They're just women that can procreate on their own, and they're a little dudeish. They're hardened like men. You know what I mean? Um, and they didn't have a memory. The Lemurians didn't have a memory. You see, they they only basically used. See, 'cause when we fall into our um, physical realm, we don't know the physical realm. When we fell into the physical realm, um, we had to master the physical realm. So what they end up doing is they started mastering the will of their body, like the will of their body, the will of the air, the plants, even the rocks, and they didn't have a memory. So when they constructed, they didn't really write things down, and they didn't speak or none of that. They could see their will was so great with themselves and other things. They could see the weight of something and what it could hold, basically, like a stone or a tree or whatever. They could see, and they could will that. Like if they see something they wanted to pick up and they couldn't pick it up right then, they could will themselves big. Like they could will their arm big and pick it up. Like that's what they was about. They were about the will of things, right? But eventually, yeah, eventually they wanted to make a human form that can enjoy the planet, that could actually enjoy the planet, because most of the things that like the people that you see in the that stay in the root chakra, these people were like they lived like animals at that point. They were literally no higher than that mentally. Like they weren't higher than the animals. That's what people, we gotta realize this. I'm talking to myself too, because sometimes I engage with these people and I gotta know that I can't. You see what I'm saying? But um, the people that you see just walking around regular, they were like animals at this point. Literally, they didn't have no consciousness to do anything. So what ended up happening is the Lemurians seen they wanted a form that could actually lead people. So what they did was they made the woman and the man. Then they created the different sexes. They took their divine people out of their own population and made the different sexes. So when they made the woman and the man, right? We know the woman's been here before the man, thousands of years. We already know that because they're the XX chromosome. The male is the XY genetic mutation. We ain't got to go into that, right? We know that's a fact scientifically, right? So they separated the races, the female and the male, right? Boom. Now, the male was hardened, not like the female. I mean, the female was hardened too, but not like the male. You see what I'm saying? Um, the male, when he was growing up, it was hardened like the Spartans was. You see, um, uh, you've seen the movie The Spartans. They had like the Adogi. The Greek are from the Americas also. You see what I'm saying? We know this because of the Greeks. Um, um, Gods. The Greek gods are Atlanteans. So they are situated today where they call Greece is over in the Mediterranean. So why would your gods be Atlanteans if you're in the Mediterranean? That don't make no sense. We're talking about in ancient times. We did things that were godly things, and they looked at our people. These are real stories. They looked at our people as the gods. Period. So they were hardened. The men were hardened in that way. You see what I'm saying? And the children were raised up like that, made to do like wicked things. You see what I'm saying? Like physically wicked things. And the children who couldn't um the children who couldn't hack that stuff, they just succumbed to it. They kept them in it. It wasn't like you could check out and be like, nah, I don't want to do this. I want to do something else to be a farmer. Nah, no. You couldn't check out. If you didn't make it, you just succumb to the situation. That's it. And the women were hardened also, but not in the same way as the man. They would be sat outside in a like a major rainstorm. They would have to sit out there for they would stand them out there in like a little mound for an hour. So they had to feel the power, like the quiet power of the storm. You see what I'm saying? Things like that, and they would make um the women watch the men do these brutalities, and the women would get thrown back, like surprised over just the brute force of these things, and that's what made them have dreams, like the seeing the brute force of a man made them have dreams, and that's what gave rise to our memory, because her having dreams, right, established the spirituality in our spiritualities and all of these different things. She started dreaming. And then, because remember, we have no memory. Then when she sees these things, she starts dreaming these things. Like, when you see a crazy movie, you'll dream that stuff sometimes. You see what I'm saying? Now, and that's what she did. She dreamed, and then so she remembered the next day, and she seen that the things that she remembered were useful from the day before. It was useful for her knowing moving forward. So she see it was useful for the next day and into the future. You see, so that's what established our memory of things, right? That's the beginning of our spirituality, because now you see when that strokes a different DNA pattern than the actual Lemurian. You see, the Lemurian are world driven. Now you tapped and injected spirituality into our population. You see what I'm saying? But at this point, we had not had babies and things like that. So that those two things, the male and the female energies, now that you see them, came together, and now you see yourself. You see, because you have that dark moon. You don't care if you're a female or a male. If you're a male, you have a soft side. If you're a female, you got a hard side where you'll get it in. You see what I'm saying? So that's where that comes from. See what I'm saying? That's the mixture of us. You see what I'm saying? That's our balance, man. So, but when that happens, when our balance happens, that melds our spirituality, makes our spirituality strong. That's the atoms. That is the atoms. You see what I'm saying? the proton and the neutron come together. Everything is one thing or the other, one sex or the other, and it's flying through space trying to find its mate. And period. That's just how things are. And then they boom, and then they make the circle, and then you got the electrons that feed that. That's us. That's us. You are a circle. You are the sphere. But that's what gave rise to our spirituality, right? Which was very important because that let us go from uh, us, because we're coming from the Lemurians, and the Lemurians were physical driven. They were will driven. You see what I'm saying? But that made us different from them. Now we're tapping into our soul, not just the physical realm. But when that happens, before we tap all the way in, the dark cycle came. So we fall into the dark cycle. And that's the Lemurians end up using us as their slaves. They started slaving us. They slaved us to slave those other lower vibrational people. Like enslaved all of Atlan. Atlan, by the way, is North and South America. Ancient name was Atlan. That's why we have an Atlantic Ocean. That's why we have a Mazatlan. That's why we have Atlanta. At means inner on. Lan means the most beautiful. So you're inner on the most beautiful lands. Atlantis. Tis means the sister. So you're inner on the most beautiful lands, the sister of the most beautiful lands. That's what Atlantis means. So the Atlanteans come from Atlan. Our blood still runs through our veins today. We are no different. We just fell in our consciousness because the dark cycle came. Just like I'm explaining to you now. There's nothing new under the sun. This happened before. And it will happen again. But we fall into the dark cycle. The planet, some people don't know what the dark cycle and light cycle is. Okay? Our planet flies through space like this, really like a vortex movement, but a sound movement. The light and the dark cycle, light, dark cycle, like this, right? Like right now, we're coming out of Pisces going into Aquarius in March 20th, right? That's that sun, before that sunrise, you'll see Aquarius, the constellation Aquarius in the sky at right before that sunrise. That's how you know the age you're in, right? So that's actually New Year. That's the real New Year's. People don't know because we go by this Gregorian pagan stuff. But I don't want to get into that. But where were we at? Now, we fall into the dark cycle, right? Boom, we're in the light cycle when they create us. But see, the thing is this is how the light cycle goes. We're in the light cycle, like we're going into it now. We go into it, and we're into it for thousands of years. We start getting into like a high thought pattern to where we build pyramids, beautiful energy structures, and stars. If you look in the Emerald Tablet, it literally talks about how we built the stars. Talks about it right in the Emerald Tablet. But you can go look that up in the Emerald Tablet 4. But so we come into the light cycle, right? That's what happens, and we do amazing things. Then we start dropping into the dark cycle like this, right? We still have our powers, but we start doing crazy. Not all of us. Some of us start doing weird shit with our powers, man. That's the problem. Start doing gene splices and and I mean all kind of crazy stuff, trying to create different things. That's why you've seen a bunch of hominids over in Africa. It was used to be called Skull Island. The people who got caught doing that wouldn't be killed. They would be kicked out of the ancient lands and they would be sent to Skull Island, banished. And that's what that was. That's what people don't realize. We don't descend from over there. We used to kick people over there. Get your ass over there. You want to do blood sacrifice. We didn't allow the blood sacrifice here. And that's what the fight was always over. When the when the light cycle starts ending, a part of our population start doing the blood sacrifice. I forgot I'm on YouTube and I can say that. Ha! Hey, that's a fact. Like communion, that is Babylonian blood magic, and they do that a mass manifestation every Sunday. They are incarnating hellish beings to the third plane. That's a fact. That's what you don't know. When they did the Cain and Abel story, they made Abel the martyr. You see, so you would practice that. You see that? They tricked you. That's Babylonian blood magic, how they tricked you. And some people hearing this right now still won't let it go. But I'm telling you, you are incarnating hellish beings here. That's why you need the blood of Jesus on you. You need to be covered in the blood. Oh! Damn! But I'm moving around. I'll move around. But that's on the Emerald Tablet. That came off the Emerald Tablets, by the way, were found on the pyramid walls in Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Sun. Subsequently, I've been there. I was just there in December. But, yeah, wasn't found in no Africa. I don't know where they got that from. Billy Carson, you a lying ass and your feet stink. Anyway, we start doing the blood sacrifice, and it becomes a fight over that. You see what I'm saying? The Emerald Tablets also talks about that also. He says, I'm going to quote one of the passages. It says, in the Emerald Tablets, Thoth the Atlantean explains the reason for the destruction of Atlantis. Confidential knowledge was imparted to unworthy people, and the latter began using it for evil purposes. They also adopted bloody sacrifices, and this resulted in numerous incarnations of hellish beings among people. End quote. Verbatim. That's what it says. You see what I'm saying? I'm a walking receipt, literally. So, that's Emerald Tablet. If you want to look at the blood magic, he talks about that in Emerald Tablet 8. You can look at my favorite translation of that is the M. Doriel translation. Subsequently, M. Doriel is the one who found those tablets. But moving right along, we start falling into the dark cycle, and we start using some of our population start doing the blood sacrifice and doing gene splice. That drops us completely out of knowledge. Period. So, yeah, I don't have no message for Billy Carson. I don't have a message for him. I'm schooling him right now. And that's the facts of the matter here. Like, at the end of the day, I have broke down the Sumerian hieroglyphics and showed that you're not reading them right. And I've showed many profound things on this platform also and over there. I'll bring some more of that stuff over here. But right today, we're just going to do the history, just by me talking to you. We'll go over it on some receipts in later live streams when I do hit my StreamYard. But like I said, the planet travels in the light and dark cycle, light, dark cycle, light and dark cycle. That sound wave, that's what we're trapped in. That's what we're trapped in. It ain't no firmament or none of that. The earth is trapped in a powerful sound wave. That was there. That's the beginning of everything. That sound wave that's wrapped around the earth. You ever seen water They got the two sound waves and a drop of water suspended in the air. Yeah, that's the planet for all the flat earthers out there. That's the planet. We're caught in that sound wave. That's what this is. So people don't realize that. But that's what happens on our planet. We don't get cursed from God or none of these things. There is how the planet moves, man. Light in the dark cycle. When we drop into as high as we get in the light cycle, when we start and we do all the pyramid building and all that, is as low as we get when we go into the dark cycle. We don't remember shit. We don't remember shit, man. And look, there's a population on this planet. Remember, I was telling you about the ape people. Like they're like low vibrational. They're not connected to that light and dark cycle. And a lot of the people were created on this planet. See what I'm saying? Like I was just saying. They're not connected to that. Their pineal glands. Like when you see Caucasian people, 80% of their population has a calcified pineal gland or a pineal gland that is in full-blown atrophy. If your pineal gland is in atrophy, that means you don't have an inner monologue. You don't hear that little voice in your head saying, "Yo, I shouldn't have went over there." You don't hear that. I mean, you're just a husk. Literally, you're a husk walking around out here. But those people are not connected to that light and dark cycle, so they staying right there. So when we dip into the dark cycle like that, they are over us. We way down. We don't remember shit. And they at least have something, know something. We don't remember nothing, and that's how they can slave on us. And that's what happens, man. I know that sucks, right? But that's what happens. That's exactly what happens on this planet. There is nothing else. That's what happens. Now, moving right along. Now the Lemurians are slaving on us now, right? And that's where we're at, right? Lemurians start slaving on. The dark cycle comes. Lemurians start practicing that dark magic, man. They start doing weird shit, and they enslaving on us and the other people in that line, right? The lower vibrationals. Now we start coming up in the consciousness, oh buddy, like we're doing right now, and we start realizing like the same shit we're gonna start realizing in this cycle, and which is these people are only will driven. They are only of the physical. We can use our astral bodies. And that's what we started learning again. We started realizing like, yo, our spirituality trumps theirs. And we started doing the light cycle came. And we started getting into the light cycle like we are now. We started getting up into a curve. Boy, that's when like you see those solar jaws. I know you, boy, you better rock with me. YouTube. Man, you better wake YouTube up. Let's go. You see those solar flares? Go look at the fight between the Lemurians and the Atlanteans, because that's what happened next. Right? That's what happened next. Now, the Lemurians are on Mu, right next to. They're like associated. They don't come from Mu, but they come from Lemuria. Lemuria is next to Mu, but they end up inhabiting Mu. You see what I'm saying? Now, when the Lemurians, we start realizing that they don't got the spirituality, and we can use our astral body. We can come out of our bodies. So we start using our astral bodies, and we beat them. The war without going into, I can't, do a whole war scene right here. But yeah, we beat them. We ended up beating them because of that. See what I'm saying? It was a major war, but we ended up winning. Taking the light cycle, right? We fought them twice. You see what I'm saying? So we ended up winning. And it was peace for thousands of years, man. It was peace. We had everything, man. All the people had everything. It was a paradise. It was heaven here, right here on earth. Literally. You didn't pay for anything. We, like the people who had the real high spirituality, all we cared about is taking care of the people. And that's what we care about today. You know what I mean? We don't really care about all that other stuff, but we care about the high morality being set. And once that's set, then everything is cool. You see what I'm saying? And that's how we did things. But remember now, the Atlanteans still ain't speaking. We're not talking still. You see what I'm saying? We're only doing telepathic thought. We're not talking. There's no speech at this time still. You see what I'm saying? So we end up beating the Lemurians, right? And the light cycle comes, right? And that went like that for a few thousands of years. Boom. Now, next thing you know, we got that's the light cycle. Now we get the downturn into the dark cycle. It's coming, but we still got our powers. Remember, I told you, we still have our powers, and that's what happens. Then we go and we're starting to turn down. You can look this up in the Emerald Tablet too. Start in number 1 and go through right to number 4. Or to number 4. Number 4 starts talking about the spacewalking and all that. So I would recommend looking into that one. But read the whole Emerald Tablet. You got to read it 100 times for you to understand the whole thing. But we start downturning like this, and it says in the Emerald Tablets that the Dweller, what the Atlanteans started doing, not every one of them, not all of them, but a certain sect of them, started messing with energies, because we were doing cosmic things. Cosmic, all cosmic, everything was cosmos. Then, and we started doing the downturn, some of us started being like, yo, I wonder what's up in the earth, though. Like, what's up with the Dweller? Like, I wonder if we could, like that. And then he's seen the thoughts of us. He's seen the thoughts of the Atlanteans, and he's seen us messing with the inner earth. And there's certain planes in the inner earth you're not allowed to mess with, because you'll mess up the whole balance of this whole thing, and you're not allowed to do that. So the Dweller doesn't fight them. He had already instilled in place a failsafe, which was shutting down the halls of Amenti. The halls of Amenti are what we know as the Bermuda Triangle today. That's where Mu and Atlantis was, right there. You see. How do we know that Mu was in right next to Atlan? Because it's incorporated in the ancient symbols of Atlan. I have them on my hands. You can see them here. That's Atlan. You see that? Mu is that symbol right there. See that symbol right there? That's the sun setting in the basin of the lands of the west. That's the land of Mu. It's incorporated in the symbols of Atlan. That's a fact. You see what I'm saying? So why would it be in the Pacific? It wasn't. That's disinformation. Now, the Mu is what I just said it was. Where it was. What we know is the Bermuda Triangle. That's why if you fly over that, drive over that, any of that, halls of Amenti, dog, you'll get put back in the 50s or something. Yeah, that's why they can't find you. Ain't allowed to do. You ain't gonna be able to do all that over there. That's the energy center of the planet, and that's where the halls of Amenti were. So when that happens, plus this is another way you know. There's 3 different ways. It's the Lemurians made the Atlanteans. So if they was in the Pacific, how'd you make the Atlanteans on the East Coast? Makes no sense. But and how is Atlantis on the East Coast and you're in the Pacific? What? But anyway, we're gonna move around. But the Atlanteans start falling into the consciousness, right? And then they shut down, the Dweller shuts down the halls of Amenti, which collapses Mu and Atlantis, knocks them both down. He was like, I don't care, you both gotta go. Boom, tsunamis, North-South America creates a whole. I mean, of course, that would create a full-blown tsunami, and it did. But when the water subsides, the Atlanteans and the Lemurians find themselves now because they were right next to the East Coast. Those Atlantis and Mu. When that sinks, they find themselves on the mainland. You see? Now, when they find themselves on the mainland, the Lemurians now don't want to do the blood sacrifice, and the Atlanteans are. You see, it's different this time. It was the other way around last time. But now the Lemurians don't want to do the blood, don't want that, and then they start fighting. Now they're fighting again, and the Lemurians lose. The Lemurians lose, and that's why they got kicked off the East Coast. The Lemurians got the people who survived end up going migrating to the West Coast. They moved to Shasta County, that mountain, Shasta County Mountain. You go look that up. The dude who went up in there found the same thing that they found in the Grand Canyon. He walked down in there, the walls literally. Now the Lemurians at the beginning, they didn't live in houses. They lived in caves. But they only extended the cave as much as they can. They kept everything as natural as possible, but they made it really beautiful. Like they made it amazing looking. Remember, I told you they knew the will of things, so they made things amazing looking. You know what I mean? But when they move over to Shasta County, they call into that mountain is called Telos. That mountain is called Telos. Telos means the end of the continent. You see? Now, if you go look into that, you'll see, like, man, the dude who went down in there, he ended up going down into the joint. He found all kinds of treasures down in there. Who knows what happened to him, because he ended up getting found missing. You know what I mean? You know how they say, oh, they found him missing. But, yeah, like that. But he, when he talked about what he seen the same thing that they seen down in the Grand Canyon. He said he walked down into the joint. He said all the walls were lined with jewels. He said the floor was like some type of fur. And he was like, when he went down into the court, there was a bunch of different rooms. He said, and at the end of the joint, it opened up into a big room, and the wall, the front wall that he's staring at when he comes in the room is a big wall. He said it was shaved back. So it was like leaning back a little bit. And he said it was six giant mummies in the wall. He said they was carved out there. There was no sarcophagus on the top, but there where they were standing, laying back, were open. It was open. It was 6 of them here, then 4, and then he said 2 at the bottom had like he said they were all mummies at the top, giant mummies, and at the bottom there was 2 giants. They were dressed in like king and queen garb. Like he says it all. Yes. And they find huge, like I want to call them tetrapods. If I remember the word correctly from my research. But they find tetrapods in there. You go look up what a tetrapod, you can see because they were known as Thule eaters. Thule means plant. But they say, oh, they was eating men. Oh, but what they call them? Oh, Thule eaters. What? That's what I'm saying. You don't let these people tell you. You don't never let call. Not you too. Not you too. YouTube. Don't go messing with my live stream. Yo. Yes, that's just the facts of the matter, man. You ain't allowed to keep telling us the stories, man, because I know the history. I don't need you to tell me. I know where we come from, and it's not Africa. Your origins come from Africa. You're a gene splice. We'll get to that. You're a subroot race. You're a subroot race of people. Yes. So, got here, COINTELPRO, yeah. But now, where are we at? We got the Atlanteans and Lemurians got kicked off the East Coast. They're in Shasta County now. But now you got to go look at that thing what I was just talking about because he finds that dude don't just find them mummies. He finds machines down in there. You might want to go look at it. See, in their later times when they get over to the West Coast, they start drilling. That's why they're associated with the Pacific Ocean because they're on the people who don't know the things that I'm telling you right now. They just say any freaking thing. They don't use all the different zones. You feel me? Excuse me. Yeah. So they don't. They don't. They don't. They don't have the information, so they don't know. But that right there, they start using machines over there. They start digging out them tunnels. This is what later on, you know, they were over there for a long ass time, man. This is during the giants, and the people say, "Oh, there ain't no giant." That's some fallacy. No, it is not a fallacy. It is not a fallacy. At one point during the Carboniferous, this is hundreds of millions of years ago, during the Carboniferous period, oxygen levels on the planet were at 35%, opposed to 21% today. We were huge. We were huge. If the oxygen level went up 5% right now, if that's almost double what it is today. If it went up 5%, you would be huge. I'm 6'4". I'd be at least 7 something. You see what I'm saying? If it goes up a whole another 15%, 14, 15%. We were huge, man. For 50 million years, it was like that. So, all of that talking about the giants, plus the Popol Vuh, that's scientific. Plus, the Popol Vuh says the first age is the age of giants. The second age ended in a conflagration. And the third age is the age of monkeys. That's a fact. Popo means people, Vu means book, the people book. There's 4 ages that predate the age we're in today. And I ain't talking about now in the ages you have many different cycles, sun cycles in these ages. So there's like, man, the ages can be different numbers. Some people say, oh, it's 12,000 years, but it depends on the people. It depends on the consciousness. It depends on you and the connection with the sun. If we don't rise the consciousness with the sun, then we don't get to the light cycle as quick as and that's why we built mounds. And I'm going to go over that right now. At first, like I said, the Atlanteans aren't speaking. You see, but what they realize, you see what I'm saying, is that when the dark cycle come and then the light cycle come again, their people, right? Like the Olmec later on is the 5th root race, right? Right. The Olmec. Now we go to the Olmec, but they start learning that the light cycle comes, but we don't have a writing system, so we don't we don't get to it quick enough before it ends. See what I'm saying? That's why, and a lot of the structures, some structures we didn't get to, we only made mounds. We only made mounds because we wasn't, but those mounds are lined up with the cosmos stuff. You see what I'm saying? Those are the oldest pyramids on the planet, those mounds. That was like way back in the day, before we even had a writing system. really. This is like the beginning of the writing system. That's why you when you find when you see the Grave Creek stone, you see there's like primitive writing on that. Like and they found that stuff in the John, and you see some of the Lemurian stuff they have. They end up doing like writing later on. But that writing ends up being gave rise to something called the Manding languages, which is or the Mend, right? The Mand and the Mend. Yes, that's the Mend is Chinese, Arabic, Dutch, Croatian, English, Spanish. Those are indigenous American languages from Atlantean languages coming from right here. You see, that's just the facts, man. So at the later dates, we started getting a little language between the Atlanteans. Now the Lemurian and Atlantean and all of these different races of people lived at the same time together. You see what I'm saying? Exactly. People don't realize that. So the languages got developed at the as these people are still on the planet. They ain't going. We're not going today. And that's what people think like, oh shit, like what do you mean? Like the Atlantean were gone by that time, right? Like what? I'm right here. We're all right here. They call us African Americans, but we are not African. We're the ancestors of the African people. We're the ones who create the free energy buildings. That's why you got us and called us slaves to build the White House. That's why. Oh no, they were paid construction work. No, construction workers. Not what? They were slaves. No, Slavics are slaves. They're descendant of slaves. They might have been POW and captured people that you made build your construction, but there are no free energy buildings in Africa. That's how you know the Moors don't come from Africa because there ain't no free energy buildings there. Zero, not one, not a nair, not a mother building. Zero. So now we give rise to the fifth root race, which is the Olmec or the Tatoshi. The actual name of the Olmec is the Tatoshiyu, right? Or the Tatoshi. And she means the people of the tree. You see? Now you see the great tree development. And a lot of the Terra Preta starts coming into fruition. You know what I mean? That's part of our cosmic knowledge. That's on every planet. That's on all the planets. But yeah, that's what people don't know. That Milpa, that Terra Preta, that's on every planet. Everyone. They have it. We have it. It ain't no. Everything you see is alive, man. Everything you see is alive. What the laws are on this planet are not the laws on other planets. It's different laws. There's different beings there, different races of people. But now you're giving rise to the Olmec. The Olmec start developing these Manding languages and give the Maya their language, give the Maya their written languages. They mix with the Maya, right? The Maya's actual name is not the Maya. Their actual name is the Danavas. Danavas. They're also known as the Naga or the Negos. That's why you call your homeboy, what up, my Naga? And my Negos and all of that. That's why you talk to your people like that. We still call each other that. They made it into this derogatory term, but we are still those people, right? So we mix in with the Maya and the Olmec, and you see Shaq, he's running around an Olmec statue today, and people don't even realize it. They can't even see it. It's crazy. He's a walking Olmec statue. It's weird as hell. People don't even get it. They don't even see it. Peace. So, yeah. So we end up now we're at the fifth root race, and that is the Olmec. or the Tatoshi, right? They developed the man languages. The man, right, uh, is baby sounds. That's where you. That's the beginning of speaking. Ba, ka, ra, all of that chakra sound. You see what I'm saying? So, um, that's where they take the Hebrew Israelite story and all of that kind of stuff with them when they wandered, when they came out of Chiapas, right? They end up going migrating into the Yucatan, up into Mayapan, what they call today Cancun, but they migrated up into Mayapan. You see what I'm saying? And but before they did, they was wandering in that wilderness down there for 40 years. Yeah, there's stories about them wandering, the Olmec wandering in that wilderness for 40 years, and they ain't have no water except from the rain because in that area there ain't no fresh springs. There's only these I forget what they're actually called, but they hold they catch the water, and that's where the people get the water. They catch the rainwater. But that's the actual story of the Hebrew Israelites comes from the Olmec. They ain't had no water except from the rain. Them those sequests, I think they were called. I forget what they're called, but they're Johns that catch the water rain. That's the only water they had. You know, the manna from heaven and all that. Yeah, manna is maize, by the way. So it couldn't have been no manna over there because it don't rain manna. We're not gonna be doing these fallacies. They took the story. 1517, Fray Diego de Landa Calderon, the bishop that Pope Leo X sent here to burn the history of the world. He's the one who took that story in 1517, took it back over there, started writing stuff, and then when they start migrating back here, now because they told him a story about a dude named Tuttleshius, Xius. He became held in high esteem by all the people. Yeah, Shius, Xius, Tuttleshius, he was named, and that became Zeus. Xius became Zeus, right? That became Iesus, Isus, when they came back here in the 1600s. But then when they learned that, remember I told you Spanish is an indigenous American language. When they had learned that language here, the Spanish language don't have an X in it. The J replaces it, like the name Javier, spelled with the X in Mexico. See what I'm saying? So that's where the J replaced the X. That's where you get the name Jesus, from Isus to Jesus. So Jesus to Zeus to Isus to Jesus. It ain't no Yahweh or none of that trash. That's all trash. That is not what happened. That's people giving you disinformation so you don't know. And they got a brother looking at the melanated brother telling you all the stuff that they came up with, which they have zero genetic connection to any of these things. Our ancestors, in fact, made it so they can't know. They made it so they won't get it. They are our children. You got to realize this. They are our children. I'm going to get to them right now. Now, the Tatoshios and the Tatoshi end up migrating out of here. Migrating. Some of us stayed, of course. This is millions of people. This is millions of people. This is not just no couple, just a tribe that was here and they was around the campfire. Nah, this is millions of people. Millions of people is the Tatoshi, right? Some of them leave and they go into Asia and they become the first dynasty in Asia, the Shiyu dynasty. Yes, that's the Tatoshi. That's the Olmec, man. That's the Olmec. Now, when you get these people come over there, they do a gene splice. Now, you know what happens after the gene splice. Somebody tell me what happens after the gene splice. Somebody tell me. Does somebody know in here? What happens after the gene splice? I just told you. I just said it a second ago. After the gene splice, we fall completely. You see that I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it. After the gene splice, we fall. But what was the gene splice? The Asian. Dark cycle. That's right, exactly. The great create. I like that name. The fall. That's right, Andre. Yeah, yeah, exactly. The fall happens right after the gene splice. You see? I'm gonna explain that to you in a second. I'm about to blow your mind about that. Now, watch. Now, um, the gene splice happens. The fall happens now, right? Now, what happens? Who's the gene splice? Right? That's what you asking. The Asians. The Asians are the first subroot race. The Asians. How do we know that? Because they have a different calcification than the European does. Shows that they were spliced out of the 15 genome sequence, the South, who they call the South Asian, who really comes from the Americas. See, that's the Olmec. That's what I'm explaining to you. But yes, they first create the Asians we see today. That's why they can dance like us and all of that, and they don't like Europeans can't. Because later on, after the dark cycle comes and goes a few different times, and then we start going into Europe, and then what happens is like dark cycle comes again, and then starts going down. We do another gene splice. This is later on, right? And but we don't gene splice out of because what happens is what we realize is the melanin, right? Melanin don't just for the people who don't know, melanin don't just coat your skin. You see, melanin coats your cells also, and the way you splice a cell is with UV lights, right? Now, what we found out is that when you try to splice a melanated cell with UV light, it'll absorb the light and turn it into energy. You see? So what happened was is we seen an anomaly, which was the albino. We had our same genome sequence, but lacked the melanin trait, right? So we was like, oh, we got you. You see homeboy over there, he's looking pretty light skin. We're gonna have to get him, and that's what happened coming in the dark cycle. But they don't see that contributes when you do that. That contributes to blood sacrifice. That's considered a blood sacrifice here. You see what I'm saying? So they have the European Amaru Khan, us, the calcification rates between melanated American, the indigenous population, Black American, is 5 to 15%. In Asians, it's 15 to 25%. In Europeans, it's 60 to 80%. You see, that shows you who was spliced first, which was the Asian. That's why they dance like us. They try to do all the things we could do. Then later on, the second sub-root race is created, but not the same way as us. They are created. See, the Asian is carried by our own Eve, our own woman. The 15 genome sequence comes from the Americas. That's who they're spliced from. Now, later on, the African they end up doing another gene splice in Africa, which is uh, uh, they found. See, that's a 9 genome sequence. They have 6 less genomes than us. The African does. That's what they don't tell you. We have 15. They have 9. That's a fact. That's why none of the creations come from over there, because it's a proven fact that the more genomes you have, the more propensity you have to have in your population to have a genius in your population. You'll hear sounds differently, see colors differently. Hence, us making all the genres of music, jazz, blues, rock, hip hop, R&B, country and western, everything. And country and western, by the way, does not, because that's a big controversy right now, does not come from no Africa. That's a lie. That's a lie. The banjo is made out of something called a gourd. A gourd is an indigenous fruit to the Americas. What are you talking about? The gourd. Go look that up, man. And they said, oh, no, the banjo evolved from this instrument in Africa. Look, instruments don't evolve. An instrument, when it's a banjo, sounds like a banjo. Okay, a guitar is a guitar, sounds like a guitar. The different instruments are the different instruments. They don't evolve. That thing that you said to evolve from, if you listen to that and you listen to a banjo, don't sound shit that's like the same. Nothing, it's not even close. So it's completely preposterous to think that's not. They just say that because we're black and we're melanated. Excuse me, we ain't black. We're melanated. So they don't like they want to always put us somewhere else. Oh yeah, in Africa. They always want to say that if we do anything. But no, these are all happened here in the indigenous sports. These are indigenous things, indigenous music, indigenous sports, indigenous all that. Our inventions. Our inventions. Straight up from the doorknob to the toilet bowl to the goddamn everything. Helicopter, man. To the wrench. We made everything, man. So yeah. Anyway, so next the subroot race. Subroot race is the Europeans, right? Now, what happens is the Moors. That's where you see the rise of the Moors. That's where you see Alexander the Great coming into Egypt and all of that kind of stuff. Later on, and all that. But the rise of the Moors happens when Ptolemy comes. Ends up Ptolemy's one of Alexander the Great's homeboys, and he ends up killing him. He ends up getting in with his other homeboys and killed him. Ended up poisoning him because they're cowards, straight up cowards, and they couldn't fight Alexander straight on. But they poisoned him. So they split the Egypt up into four different things. Ptolemy ends up realizing that the war, he can't stop the war. So he's like, yo, 10 years later, they're still warring. And he's like, damn, like I need to capture their spirituality. Like they did here with Christianity and all of these different religions. He says, I need to capture their spirituality. So that's what he does. He brings the Atlantean priest, the Egyptian priest in there and says, you're going to make me a deity in them teachings. And they're like, oh, hell no. Oh, no. And he killed them. He killed them. He killed all of them. All 12 of them. But there was 12 more studying under them. So he brings them in and says, all right, you see what I just did with them, right? Right? Made an example. Now I'm going to make a worse example out of you if you don't make me into a deity into that, in them teachings. And they knew, like, this ain't about no dude. Nah. So he killed them too. Got them out of there. Then he brings in the indigenous melanated Europeans that end up coming over there from the Americas, and some of the Africans, brings them in, takes them through the mystery schools for 20 years, 15 or 20 years. That's why they learned how to do those buildings. They learned the sacred geometry shapes and all of that. So they learned that much, just enough to conquer places. They use it for evil purposes. See what I'm saying? So that is the rise of the Moors, the people he brings in there. See what I'm saying? Yeah. That's why they say they get permission from the Pharaoh to come back. This is in U.S. law. You can go look this up. The Moors get permission from the Pharaoh to come back to the old world. You can go look that up. That's in many documents. Oh, yeah. They get permission to come back to the old world, and they start taking shit when they get here. This is the old world, man. So Yes. Now, today, now when they make the Europeans and then they bring the Europeans, but they start they start using the Europeans as slaves. You see, the slaves. The word slave comes from the Slavics. You see, the word slave comes from the Slavic people. If you're a descendant of a slave, you have to have the Slavic descent. If you're not of Slavic descent, you are not a descendant of a slave. They just literally played you with words. That's wordplay. That's part of Babylonian blood magic, man. It's double forked tongue. It's the forked tongue. You got to know your discernment got to be on the bean out here. But so they start slaving the Europeans. That's where the Slavs. They bring the Slavs. They get all the Slavs. They after they're all made and all that, and they start using them as warmongers, savages, just killing everything and eating the flesh, literally, like that. You see what I'm saying? And what ended up happening is they used them to come back here to on the front lines to savage warmonger here, and that's what they did. That's what they did. You see where we're at today? Poison the air, poison the water, poison the food, poison the people, poison everything, the animals, everything. Straight savages. Now, but because what happens is that the Moors come here, these black folks that came in here doing all that, that was not white people. That's what people don't know that. What white people? Black folks was telling white folks, look, do this and get that and do that, and they was doing all that, but then white folks got smart. And they said the pen is mightier than the sword. When they came here, they started learning these languages, learning how to, and then now they getting their brain functions starting to work better because they ain't just becoming savages now. They coming to a high society mind frame. Some of them got savage nature still, but they starting to upgrade because before they came here, the Europeans, their children didn't live past 5 at a 74.5% clip. So the ones that did live, the 25.5% that did live, probably didn't have that good of a cognitive function. You see, so when they came here, these are all facts. When they came here, they got more healthy, and when their populations boomed when they got our crops around the world, Asia, Africa, and Europe. So that symbolizes that our populations here were greater than anywhere else. So they wanted to get rid of them populations and move in more Caucasian people. That's what happened. That's just what happened. Nobody got to be offended. It's just what happened, man. Like we are all created here. I just showed you, like we're just you wasn't just the Europeans weren't the only ones created. We was created. We was all created down the line. I just showed you all of us. But now the Europeans, now you see in modern day times today. Yes, the 9 ether beings are Africans. We're 15 ethers, man. We got 15 genomes, man. We ain't no 9 ether being. But now you see now today the Europeans in modern day times. Now I'm bringing you up to today, right? Now they have the pen is mightier than the sword. So now they are writing us out of history, saying we're from Africa, saying we're this, and saying we're all that. But they brought us here because they want to make it seem like they're stronger than us. When for real, when the Gullah Wars happened, um, Lincoln didn't save us. They saved y'all because the Gullah Wars they was running through and they was not stopping. They was straight taking out all Europeans. Literally, everybody was on the chopping block. And what's the name? Gave them a treaty. Um, did a treaty to stop that from happening because there wasn't no stopping it. Yeah, it was nobody didn't free no POW melanated people. We got tired and started scrapping and started really realizing y'all's weak. You got your ass whooped. That's what happened. So now, but then they start getting smart. Now they start building systems, and they had a patent system over in Europe already. You see what I'm saying? And they start patenting all the shit that they find us doing. without us, because we don't care about that. We're making shit and then leaving it. Country western, we made it, left it. All of that stuff, all of these different genres, all of these different inventions, we just making this stuff like it ain't shit and leaving it. And they're like, shit, I'm patenting that. I'm patenting that. And that's what they did. They patented all the things that we do here. They say the Geechee, the Gullah Geechee, come from Africa. That's funny. When the Ogeechee, they're named after the Ogeechee River because they created it. The Ogeechee River dumps into the Atlantic Ocean. The Ogeechee River, Atlantic Ocean is a saltwater body of water. The Ogeechee River is fresh water. Shows you that somebody put that there. That's not natural. And when you do the research on the Ogeechee River, they made it move. It used to dump into one place, then they moved it and made it dump into a whole nother place. See, you just do your bass fishing tournaments on that. See? We created it, boss. Along with 250,000 rivers in North America alone. More than the rest of the world combined. So, we kind of get tired of you acting like you are the progenitor when you haven't done shit. What brought sexually transmitted diseases, everything. We made jazz, blues, rock, hip hop, R&B, country and western, toilets, everything. You brought STDs, war, disease, everything. So, and now you see the Europeans today in modern day times, now they are a subroot race, right? They are a subroot race, right? Because they ended up taking the helm at a certain point. So they become a subroot race when now what are they trying to, what is their creation, y'all? What is their creation? What is their gene splice? Tell me. AI. AI is their new subrace. What happens after the gene splice? They already been doing the blood sacrifice with communion, all that. So that's just part of that period. But what happens after the gene splice, people? The Almat River, the O River, where I'm at. Yes, and that's a man-made river. Black Americans created that. The indigenous population, progenitor population of the planet. So now you see exactly fast food or everything. Microwave your whole life away until you get another avatar, and they gotta keep trying to have you do that. That's it. But that right there is the true history of our planet. You have the Europeans today now. They're acting like they are going to they're making AI, and AI is going to be, the new slave. You see that? There is nothing new under the sun. Nothing. And I appreciate everybody who came in today, man. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody who came in. I know this ain't the TikTok platform where we get to drop all the receipts to this, but all the things that I just spoke about, I dropped all the receipts on TikTok. So if you want to go look at that stuff, you can go check it out. I will be dropping the receipts to a lot of this stuff. Well, I mean, the things that we just talked about is basically um Yeah, you can go look at it's on here. A lot of that stuff's on here. But some in-depth things that I go into aren't on here. So I will be doing StreamYard stuff in the next week on this platform, and I hope to see you guys there. Love you back. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And as always, I want to pay divine honors to the universe, divine honors to the sun, divine honors to our ancestors, divine honors to our beautiful planet and our ancestral land. Thank you to all the people who donate to my cause. I appreciate that because we do get a lot of donators, man. So I appreciate that. Um, that's dollar sign the Earth Speaks, Cash App, dollar sign the Earth Speaks, 1S. I appreciate the people who push me in that fashion. I appreciate the people who gift and things like that on my platforms because that helps us get around the world. You already know I've been everywhere, and I brought back some profound stuff. So literally history breakers. So it's not even we ain't making history because we ain't making their history. We breaking their history and making our own. So it takes us boots to the ground, 10 toes down to do that. Thank you very much for the people who support me in that way. Thank you to everybody who joined me today. And as always, peace to the gods and the goddess of this universe.